Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Chassidus in the morning. 15 minutes. Kuntres Heichaltzu. Okay. So we're discussing the level of Havaya, and in the level of Havaya itself, the Yud of Shem Havaya, the first letter of Shem Havaya. And we're discussing how the Yud is a point. It's like a little dot. And it's like the idea, it's like a lamashal. For example, as a teacher wants to teach the student, there's sort of two processes have to happen. It's probably more, but what we're talking about so far, there's basically two. One is that he conceals everything that he has. And then even what he gives to the student, what he teaches, is also concealed. Meaning, let's say I want to teach a 4-year-old about Pesach. I have to contract all that I know about Pesach and take that away, and then say to myself, what can the student understand about Pesach? And what is he or she able to grasp, and then teach that? So two things are happening. The teacher is removing their understanding and also giving the understanding. Now, that understanding that the kid gets is incomparable to the understanding that the teacher has on. And that's what we're saying. We'll start on the bottom of page 175. And on this it says, Amukos mini choshech. He reveals deep things from the darkness. Meaning, from the level of darkness, and the concealment, the Ein Sof, the infinite concealment of the infinite light, which is called darkness of his secret places, because the hidden of all hiddenness. Meaning, it's dark, not in the negative sense, but dark in the sense that we don't see anything that's so hidden in comparison to what we have in our reality. And so that's what happens. It's like we said yesterday, the God removed himself from the world, so to speak. And what comes out of that, and what comes out of that is this nakuda, this point of the idea. So basically, just like in the picture I talked about in Kabbalah, that it's a square, which is sort of everything, and then God made sort of a circle inside the square, and inside that circle is a place, so to speak, devoid of godliness, which of course it isn't. That's impossible. And even just talking about spatially, this doesn't really make sense, but just for our understanding purposes, let me draw the picture so we have it understood. It's necessary for the central light to be concealed and the remaining light to be contracted. So Nakud, which is the point above Gilui, Yud Shem Havaya. This is the Yud of Shem Havaya. And so essentially what we're doing is like this. And why this is important? Let's say, so why is it important to understand this? Besides the fact that the Maimon helps us understand and appreciate what does it mean, unity, and as we understand Havaya, because remember, Midyan is contrary to Havaya. So before we're learning this, you just say Midyan is against God. But here we're explaining what level of God we're talking about. And also through understanding this and learning this, we can understand, let's say when we say Shema Yisrael Hashem, Chassidim would daven, we call daven ma'aveda, daven take a long time. What would be so long? It wasn't that they said the words very slowly. It was that when they would say the words, I would think about what it meant. Now, what we're learning here is the type of stuff that they would think about. They would appreciate when we're davening, we're trying to connect to God. What does it mean we're connecting to God? Are we connecting to the God, the source of our food? And thank you God for giving me food? Or is it like, and when you learn this, it's like, it's a lot deeper. There's a lot more words to say, a lot more to think about. Like, what does it mean, God? Are we talking Hashem Havaya? Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu, Havaya Echad. What's Havaya and what's Elokeinu? And we discussed all that means over here. And here we're going to the details of what it means Havaya. Havaya, what's this Yud of Hashem Havaya? Why is there a Yud? So Yud is the beginning process. It's a little point. It's tzimtzum, birth, the way the world was created, and what comes out of this Yud. So it's nothingness in comparison to God's essence, but it's also nothingness in comparison to the world, in the sense that it's not even, like, so to speak, a source of the world, because it's so distant from the world. And yeah, and this is what we're learning. I think it's a beautiful idea. We'll stop here, and hope everyone has a great day. Okay, so we have, let's see this. So the square, so to speak, represents everything. The circle is the place that God removed himself and made sort of an empty space. Empty means a place that it's possible to put something that fills itself as a level of separateness. And the point is what we're talking about, this Yud. And this Yud is what is revealed, because the circle is what is removed. Remember, the square is everything, and before the circle was there, it was just the square, meaning the square represents godliness. It was just God, pure, unadulterated essence, God. And then he removed himself to make a space for something else, and that's that circle. And that place suddenly becomes an empty place, so to speak, empty of God. And then what comes in is that little point. And so too, like the case, like we talked about with the student, the teacher teaching the student, that he removed himself and she removes himself and makes that space empty. And what they teach is like that little dot. So which is called the deep recesses, the darkness of his secret places. That's revelation alive, but that's the little point. It's only that little point. And this is still concealed in relation to the chain-like descent of the worlds. Because the this is, even though this is what's left over from the lights, so to speak, a gilui, so revelation, which revelation of the chain-like descent of the worlds. So that dot, what ends up happening from that dot, meaning it on one hand it's a dot and it's nothing, but on the other hand it's the source of everything else. Like Chachma is like a dot, is a point, it's a simple idea that you don't really expand on. It's like learning a maimer before you've thought about it, before you've really unpacked it. So on one hand, it's a revelation because it's revealing from. It's a reveal for us. But on the other hand, it's also concealment because look at it as you see in the pictures, it's just a dot in comparison to everything else. But as it is still in that point, before it's been expanded, which is it's at that level is still totally above revelation, meaning that dot is not enough to create worlds. And it's called nothingness. Hey, Nagabe ha'atzmus, both in regards to atzmus, but in comparison to atzmus, this is nothing. And also in regards to the worlds. Because it hasn't been revealed in the world. So the worlds, it's like in the middle. We got to atzmus, it's nothing. In comparison to atzmus, everything's nothing, especially this. But in regards to the worlds, it's also nothing because it's not even at the point of creating the world. It's like that little point teaching that kid about Pesach. It's not really Pesach. It's really only after the kid learns it and understands it and even unpacks it and maybe analyze it and brings it out in more details and appreciates it. But to say this is Pesach, like we said yesterday, you teach him Manishtana and there's Manishtana, we eat matzah. That's not all. It's not Pesach. Yeah, page 1. Yeah, that's it. 178 at the top. Kitzur. When effluence is transmitted to a makabel who is not comparable to a mashpia, has to be the concealment of the lights of atzmus and the tzimtzum of the lights and V'tzimtzum ha'or ha'nishar, and the contraction of the light that's left. Because that point, as we continue on, that point is sort of like Atzmos. It's like Atzilus, which is for us, in our world, it's totally different. Atzilus is a lakus, so it's a world of godliness, whereas us for a world of total lack of godliness.